A number of you have reached us with some concerns, especially after this announcement by the NCA that some sanctions are going to kick in beginning today. I've been joined in studio by Deputy Director, Consumer and Corporate Affairs at the National Communications Authority, NCA, Kwame Gyan. Thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Let me also say that we'll be joined on Zoom as we go on by Derek Laye, and then also some tech experts who will be sharing their views on this particular development as we go on. But the last time we spoke, people had reached us about they being overbilled beyond the 5 cedis for the usage of the self-SIM registration app. You promised that you're going to start refunding people who had spent more than 5 cedis on the app. Have you done that?
That has gone on. After we spoke the last time, a few others have joined that list. We are still under about 50 or so people with that kind of request. So the initial ones that we spoke about the last time I talked to you have been refunded, and the rest of them in the next few days should also get theirs done as well.
I see.
Yes.
So less than 50 people?
Yeah.
Okay. So we woke up to this statement from your boss yesterday about sanctions which will start kicking in today. Which sanctions have started kicking in? That is, if you have started at all.
So the MNOs from today have begun blocking people for a 2-day period, as we said in our statement. So effectively, if you've done no registration at all from today, you are possibly one of those people whose numbers have been blocked for the next 2 days. Now, starting Wednesday, if you've done just stage 1 and no stage 2, you also have you also be added to that list, and in the course of this month, you have your service disrupted for at least 2 days in the course of a week at least.
I see. So what that means is that, if you haven't done the registration, you can't receive phone calls, or you haven't received phone calls today?
So what it is that now the MNOs are doing this in batches, if you like. So if, for example, they have a pool of, say, 100 people who have not registered yet, not all 100 are blocked at the same time. Say 15 or 20 of them are blocked now, then after 2 days, the next batch will get blocked, and so on and so forth. So yes, if you've done nothing at all, 0 registration, from today, you probably will be on that list of people. If you are not yet, you'll be added soon in the course of time, likely because it's been done in segmentation or in batches.
And you're saying that those who have gone through the first stage of registration, as in they dial the star 404 hash, but they haven't gone to the MNOs to show their Ghana card and so they would also have some sanctions apply on from Wednesday?
As far as we are concerned, Alfred,
why?
There are 2 things. If you've done stage 1 of your registration without stage 2, it's incomplete registration. The complete one is when you've done both stage 1 and stage 2. So having done stage 1 alone, you're not done yet. And it's even more peculiar for these guys because one, there's an app which has already been released where people can actually just on their own at homes download it and then register with, or go to the MNO shops to have that one done. So whether you've done stage 1 and 0, as far as we are concerned, that is incomplete registration. The only ones that we find to be complete registrations are those that have done stage 1, gone on to do stage 2, and so those folks won't be part of any sanctions or any punitive measures going forward. But if you've done only stage 1 or done nothing at all, expect that sanctions to apply to you. But
have you taken into consideration those who have genuine cases of not having a Ghana card? Because the Ghana card is a source document for the re-registration process, either through the app or showing up in person. People don't have the Ghana card.
So here's the thing, Alfred. What we are doing now is that we do know, for example, when the minister announced, in fact, over the extensions that we've had, each time there's been an extension, there's a drop in how many people show up to register. For example, let me give you an example. As of July 25, we're averaging roughly 850,000 or so registrations daily, at least for that period in time across networks. Soon after that, the announcement was made, we're doing just about 200,000 or so registrations. The rest of folks just fail to show up. Again, on the day of the announcement, people in queue have never showed up to register again. So we have believed that there are some people who actually have the cards, haven't been able to do so. But back to your question. Now, it's hard for us to where we sit to determine that Alfred has a genuine reason why he has not registered yet. We can't tell from where we sit. So what we are doing now is the fact that we are implementing this directive as given to us by the Ministry of Communications. As we go on, we are in constant touch with the ministry, having them know what we are going through, what is happening, the numbers we have, what the key issues are, who we should exempt and why that should happen, and how those exempted should be sorted out. So as and when the ministry thinks that, look, there are a bunch of, let's say there are this number of people who we believe that we should put them in a certain pool because of issues with NI or whatever it is, I'm sure the ministry at that time would announce that. But as far as we are concerned, Ghana card is required, yes, as you've mentioned, and we expect that those who have done stage 1 and not stage 2 go on and complete your registration. Those who have their Ghana cards, and Alfred, trust me, believe that there's quite a number of people out there who have Ghana cards, but still, I guess, not bothered about registering their SIM cards.
But, you know, you're only carrying out a directive, as you said, from the Communications Ministry. But is that not an arbitrary application of the directive, to the extent that there are people who are watching us right now who, through no fault of theirs, have not been able to get their Ghana card, right? And for as long as the Ghana card remains the source document for this re-registration of their SIM cards, aren't you being unfair to them if you are blocking them of not getting their access to their phone calls or data services, when clearly they don't have the source document to go through the process?
As I've said before, Alfred, we are in a position where it's hard for us to segment those who have genuine reasons why they haven't done so, and then those who have. I believe that what the ministry would possibly do, and I can't speak for the ministry because I don't work for the ministry in this case, is that based upon what has happened with these punitive measures that we are doing now, towards the end of the exercise, the ministry would then determine that, okay, maybe we have good reasons why this group of people should be treated this way, or that one should be done that way. As I sit here right now, I can't answer for the ministry on that point of view. But we expect that all those who have their Ghana cards, all those who have not made effort to get their Ghana cards, and some of those who have their Ghana cards that are with the NIA but haven't picked them up yet, we urge them to do so, pick them up, and go ahead to register.
In fact, because I'm looking at the NIA data right now, and we have a little over 850,000 people who have not received their cards. They say that per their data on their website, some 17.1 million people have been registered, but about 16.6 million cards have been printed. And then out of that 16.6 million, 15,822,612 cards have been issued. And these are people who turn up at the NIA office and are encountering challenges, which is as a result of, in some cases, the NIA itself. And so they don't have access to the source document. They shouldn't be punished for that, Kwame.
So again, as I said, Alfred, from where we sit now, it's hard for us to tell who these people are.
So who is going to solve that problem?
So hopefully, while this is going on, you have your Ghana card, all those other issues, all those other folks who can register but haven't done so. And as and when we get to the end of this exercise, the ministry will determine what happens to those people who have genuine cases. And of course, we are actually working on this with NIA. If there's a point where we believe that there's a pool of people that we must add to the list of exempted folks until we have their issues resolved, I believe the ministry at that point in time will let us know what to do going forward.
How about those who have not had access to the app, for instance? Because the app is not available on the iOS. So the iPhone or Apple users, if they want to use this self-registration app,
they do have the option of going to the MNO to register. To start off with, hold on, Alfred. So the MNO registration and agent registration is still ongoing. As a matter of fact, it never has stopped. So you have the right, you still have the option to go to the MNOs to have this done. Now, hopefully, we'll have this on the App Store soon. But even in the interim, what it is that the way the system is structured, even if you don't have access to that phone, now mind you, there are other folks also using YAM phones. They can't even use the internet, for example. Those are people who must necessarily go and see the MNO for registration. So if you're one of those people, either your device, your main device happens to be an iOS device, or you have a YAM phone, we urge you, in that case, go to the MNO shops now that there's almost no queues there, to have your registration done.
But you know what? I mean, that's what's up. But Kwame, hold on a bit for me. Let me welcome Derek Lai. He is the Director, Africa Digital Economy Forum, also joining us on Zoom. Derek, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. So this is what the NCA's position is. They are going ahead with this, despite the legitimate concerns people may have who do not have the Ghana card. Which other options could have been explored so as to consider those who have these genuine cases of not having the Ghana card through no fault of theirs?
Thank you, Alfred, and thank you. It was great listening to Kwame as well. I was a bit unhappy and quite sad listening to Kwame because it seems to suggest there's a lot of questions that requires answers to, and unfortunately, Kwame says that the minister or the ministry would have to answer for it, and that's where I have a concern, because this exercise is a data-driven exercise. SIM registration is supposed to be a data-driven exercise, but at this time, it sounds to be one driven out of emotions rather than data. So you cannot cut people or basically disconnect or exclude people from their communication services because you believe that you cannot segregate at this time. We can be able to segregate. It is important that the agencies, I mean NCA, I mean NIA, and the service providers, if they sit down in a day, they will be able to know how many people have cards, how many people do not genuinely have cards, how many people are having issues. Because, you know, like I said, I don't know, maybe earlier on I was on your station a while back, I had said that there was an offline registration that was done a couple of months back at the start of all of this thing. And there's over 300,000 plus subscribers that did not get their data synced with the system once we went live. And all of these numbers are still lingering that need to be captured. It's important that we segregate and do it right, rather than immediately begin to punish people and punish those who genuinely have a case. So we have made exemptions for people who are diplomatic in the diplomatic circles. We've made exemptions for people who are outside the country, specifically students, and then also refugees and the likes. But there are also separate minority groups that have equally not been dealt with. There are people with special disabilities that have not been dealt with. And then also those who genuinely do not have the NIA cards. Now you go to the NIA, some of the NIA offices, you are being told, come in October, come in December, as if you're going for a visa to go to the US. So these are practical examples of challenges that people are faced with. So when you come out with for the want of a better word, this is not a surgical measure. It's almost like a blunt tool that you are seeking to use to cut through everyone and punish people genuinely for not being able to have what is required to do what is necessary. And let's not mince words. I've said a couple of times on this platform that I think that SIM registration at this point in time, we are all for SIM registration. But it is important that we are able to do SIM registration in a manner that is effective and in a manner that brings everybody along with the process. It doesn't have to be an exercise that appears to be accepted by one party and the mass are not interested in it. Look, at the end of July, before we got to this point, the ministry's presser, we were told that 26 million cards needed to be captured. Now, if 26 million SIM cards need to be captured, and we have spent a year to do about half, then we are at 26 million. How in heaven's name did we expect to do that, to do the remaining 26 in the remaining 2 months? Obviously, that was not feasible. So a bit of engagement, a bit of understanding of what the system looks like, the system design looks like, will be able to inform us if the timeline itself is adequate enough to support the process. Then we came up with the app. The app was late by 24 days. Well, nobody got sanctioned for that. Well, after the app came in, the app had its own challenges. Then we are told that this app is for people on Android, technically Google Play Store. The one for iOS, as I speak now, is not ready. But yet people are being punished for things that are not ready. And that's why I keep saying that it's important that this has to be data-driven before we begin to cut people off the network. Because look, our position is that we want to be able to have a system where we do not exclude people from telecommunication services. And Ghana stands as a beacon when it comes to telecommunications, when it comes to digitization. We are trying to stand and be the agents for digital transformation on the continent. We want to be able to drive digital services, drive a digital economy on the continent compared to our peers and all of that. It is important that when people look around the continent, we are not, because right now, I've not seen this being done anywhere. And even in Nigeria, where they have terrorism happening on a daily basis, I mean, direct cases of terrorism, they have been a bit more lax and calm in how they approach this, even though they've extended their SIM registration program 9 times.
Right.
And so it's important that we look at the data and be able to basically, for the want of a better word, fashion out measures that serve purpose, rather than come across as if we are trying to punish people genuinely for some of them challenges that has got nothing to do with them.
Let me find out this. How are you working with the NIA in this process? Because it appears both institutions are not talking. Because if you need the Ghana card to go through it, and the NIA says, look, our exercise is in perpetuity. It's continuous. Yes. It's continuous. Yeah. We are not bound by any timelines that the NCA or the Communications Ministry has put out there. But yet, you need their Ghana card to go through your process, which is time-bound, which has timelines.
Yes.
But the process to get the source document for your process, which is timeline, is actually timeless.
Good. So now here we are, Alfred. One, I don't speak for the NIA, so I'm not going to get into too much detail about the NIA. I can only speak to what I know because, as you said, we actually work with the NIA. The technical committee that we have NIA has been involved right from the beginning. We've had meetings to resolve some of these things that come up. But as you speak now, trust me, Alfred, if you are to find different reasons why we should keep this exercise going on for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, we'll find those reasons. But at some point in time, this must come to an end. This registration.
Why should it have time?
Because
explain to me.
I'll tell you why. What we are doing now is dealing with what we want to call legacy systems. People who already own SIM cards. Since 1st October, if you walk into Airtel, Tigo, MTN, Vodafone, to have a SIM card, they will ask you for your Ghana card and go through what we are going through now to register. So after we've absorbed all of these folks like you and I who already have SIM cards and are registering, any new ones that add on to the networks will go through the process. Now, if asked why, I mean, there has to be an endpoint to this. And that endpoint is guided by how many people on the networks have been registered so far. What are the people who are left? What numbers are we dealing with? How do we work around them? For example, some of the other exemptions that you've mentioned are folks on scholarship, on Ghanaian government scholarships outside of Ghana. These are people who the government of Ghana knows that they've taken you to X country to go and learn. We have people who, and it could either come through the Get Fund, GNPC, Scholarship Secretariat, whoever it is. There are also other people who are on UN peacekeeping duties. There are folks working in Ghanaian missions across the world. For all of these identifiable groups and others, we have a process to deal with them because you know that it's not they are doing that they are out of town. Okay. So how do we manage those ones? So in that cases, we have a case where we in the telcos have, through the ministry's directive, have agreed that let's put these folks in a pool, give them some time to do because they are in school and because they are elsewhere that we know the state has put them at. Now, if we do have the reason to believe that, okay, it appears the people who have gone through the Ghana card registration but have not picked up the Ghana cards. You mentioned those figures. As a matter of fact, it's the case that about 800,000 or so of those people, the Ghana cards are ready. Some haven't just bothered to show up to pick them up. As of 25th of August, we are done roughly 62 or 63% of the 42 million SIM base being registered. Okay?
I see.
Out of that number, about 42% of them have done their stage 2. Meaning that there's a 20% gap between those who have done stage 1 and not done stage 2 yet. The question is that these are people who have their Ghana cards already. They've done the linkage of Ghana cards to their SIM cards already, but they've not bothered to go do stage 2. And we're saying that these kind of people are among those that we're saying that these measures of you not having the chance to use your services for 2 days is applied to them as well.
What's the total number of SIM cards we have in the system now?
Roughly 42.6 million SIM cards.
42.6 million.
But
and
yes, go ahead. But
how many of them?
Here's where we are. Of the 42.6 million SIM that we have, because of the type of registration that we had in the system already in the past, because of the cases of SIM boxing we have in this country, despite we doing a good job in bringing down those numbers, there's still some SIM cards which are in SIM box equipment across the country. In fact, Ghana is a very typical multiple SIM industry, country. Our population is 30 million, we have 42 million SIMs. Tells you a lot. True. Now, somebody is there, he has 2, 3 SIM cards. Some people, gone are the days when people will have one SIM card to call someone on MTN alone, and now for someone just on Vodafone and Airtel to go. Now, such people may not want to register all of these SIM cards. So this 42.6 million number likely will come down. But
in fact, I just wanted you to hold on to that point for me because, Derek, I'll bring you in here. So going forward, what should be the focus? Because this, I understand on Wednesday, some sanctions will kick in as well for those who have not registered. And that's going to be another layer of sanctions. So what should be done?
I think Wednesday, what's going to happen is those who are within stage 2. Stage 2 technically is that they have linked the Ghana card to their SIM card, but they haven't gone to the telco or basically gone through the app system to get their biometric captured. They are the ones going to face sanctions from Wednesday. And then I believe, or I understand, by virtue of my discussions with friends in the industry, that from next week, Monday, which is supposed to be my birthday, that we're going to begin to deactivate people also on data as well. And, I think there's a lot of challenges that these directives are even going to have for telcos, because as at this morning, I could tell you for free they're doing about 20% of their expectation. Look, you are basically testing capability of your system in a live environment. So basically, they are running scripts at this moment to now begin to appreciate, because the network was not built to deactivate people by design. It was built to connect and enable. So we are having to now do the reverse of what these systems are built for. And so unfortunately, people are now spending time at work, I'm sure at this time, trying to figure out how to meet a directive where we could actually have a meeting and basically answer a very simple question. Who are the ones who are currently faced with a challenge? Once we have not been able to answer this question with data, I believe what we are doing is unfortunate. For heaven's sake, we are exposing the telcos to lawsuits, because I have a relationship with you. I have bought data from you. You have given me a SIM card. I'm connected to your network, and I'm supposed to get an NIA card to register. That's fine. That's policy. I go to get my NIA card. I'm told to come in November. There are cases like that. And then I'm being deactivated off the network when I have a relationship with the network by virtue of the design process, which does not entirely exonerate me alone, or basically does not entirely exonerate everyone. There are other parties within that same value chain that are supposed to provide certain things that are not currently available. If we're printing our NIA cards in our bedrooms, that's fine. Then I'll be comfortable with this process. Unfortunately, that is not the scenario. And let's be frank, look, this is a government, or we are currently in a country today where government needs revenue. Government is struggling to pay its own debts. It's struggling to pay its own. It's trying to keep itself afloat. Even its day-to-day expenses it cannot meet. So when you are beginning to cut people off the network, let's also not forget that even people do not know at this time that the turbo nets, the modems that they are carrying with the SIM cards inside. People have even SIM cards in their fridges, in their television sets. They need to go and register for each and every one of those SIMs. But they don't know. And some of them just have modems sitting in their homes because they come and they turn it on and they are using because they don't think that it's part of the mobile lifestyle. But technically, these SIM cards are all going to experience challenges in the next couple of weeks. What's the level of education? What's the level of engagement? What's the level of comfort that we are bringing to the process, so that ultimately, in the long run, we can be able to win everybody over rather than exclude people? And I don't believe that is the intention of the ministry.
Indeed.
I do not believe that is the intention of the NCA, and I equally do not believe that is the intention of the NIA. It is important that all the parties sit down and come out with clear data so we can go after those who genuinely do not want to register their SIM cards.
Derek,
thank you.
I thank you very much and these are very legitimate issues that you raise, and indeed we're going to be engaging with the NCA a lot more in the coming days, because this is just the beginning of this process of sanctions kicking in. Derek Lai is the Director, Africa Digital Economic Forum. Also, we had Kwame Gyan, who is a Deputy Director of Consumer and Corporate Affairs at the National Communications Authority, NCA.